order?
It's probably going, probably in the little boy's room. Big Dale's.
No, Dale's over
Oh,
If you see Dale, send him in.
he's over there.
Is Dale here?
Yeah, tell Dale to get in his seat.
Dale,
Dale,
I'm here.
but you gotta be seated.
if you're not sitting down, your
I'm
vote,
going back.
if you're not sitting down, your vote doesn't
Help
count.
him find out where his seat is.
Okay, would the clerk call the roll again, please?
President Weatherspoon.
Still here.
Trustee McManus.
Yep.
Trustee Wishaw.
Here.
Trustee Stillman.
Here.
Trustee Martin.
Yeah.
Trustee Lambert.
Here.
And Trustee Pierce.
Still here.
Okay, I need approval of minutes from Committee of the Whole, March 25.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of March 25, 20,
Second.
25.
I'll second.
I heard one down there. Who said it?
Yeah.
Dale.
Someone.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, public comment, provide 2-minute opportunity for citizens to voice their opinion to the Committee of the Whole. Committee of the Whole cannot respond as it may conflict with open meeting requirements. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Committee updates, Planning Commission, Nancy?
Yes, so basically from Planning Commission, everything that was up, we heard on the village board and made those decisions. For any information coming in further, it will close for information being submitted to Pete on the 14th, and we will see anything coming through on the 22nd.
Thank you. Parks and Rec, Holly?
Thank you, Ryan. We tasked Ryan with a lot to do over the next month. Poor guy. To the point where we may have 2 meetings coming up, but we updated our next kind of area of focus is the master plan for Crawford Park. We've got an update on our phase 3, pickleball courts, paving, parking lot, those types of things. Our committee's focused now on kind of lighting security issues that may come up with the park, and then we're looking at a phase 4 ideas for the next. And then our new focus is going to be the overall beautification of Gorney Park and its future uses. Kind of our next focus.
Thank you, Holly. Utility District, Mr. Wishaw.
I actually don't have anything exciting to report. The one thing we had is the store backup. We're going to talk about that.
All right, very good. Thank you, Lee. Fran, did you have anything about visit Racine County?
No, not since our last meeting. There hasn't been a meeting in between.
Okay, if the board will indulge me, I attended a meeting this morning with Racine County Economic Development, and some facts came out, and I just quote the 3 facts that I wanted to spread to you, but I found it amazing that Racine County has gained 6,000 jobs last year, which is phenomenal. And that the county is projecting that we're 4,300 homes short over the next 5 years. And current occupancy rate of all these new homes that are condos and apartments that are now around are still at 99%. So it's amazing growth that we're having in the county. So with that, new business, 6A, amend strike section 9.2.10D1B2 post-construction stormwater management ordinance. Tony, did you want to enlighten us?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So in the ordinance, the stormwater management practices are done by 9.2.10. Essentially, the applicability section talks about there's essentially 3 things. First one is anything more than a half acre of impervious surface, you need to do stormwater management. Anything more than an acre of disturbance, you need to do stormwater management. And then if it's a phased development where overall it's more than a half an acre of impervious surface or an acre of disturbed, even though the individual components don't meet the thresholds, you still have to do stormwater management. But essentially in there's also 6 exemptions that you can apply to your project to essentially get out of stormwater management. There's 2 of them that I would like to have amended and or stricken. The first one is actually 9.2.10B1, D1B1, which is currently a redevelopment post-construction site with no increase in exposed parking lots or roads. I would actually like to see that changed to have it state impervious surfaces. If people want to change the type of impervious surface from parking lot to building, to me, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. When we calculate impervious surface, we always look back to when impervious surface was incorporated into the ordinance. So actually, it goes all the way back to October 1st of 2002. At that point, whatever was there is your starting point. So if you had half an acre at that point, you didn't do any development since 2002, you have a half an acre to go. If you had a vacant lot, you started at 0, and then whatever you go forward with. So that one, I would like to see that change made. The second one actually is one that we've really never had anybody challenge up until like this year. Well, late last year, actually. The first one was a house that was put in on Botting Road, where it was very clear cut, just a big house set further back on a big lot. Kind of kept his grading real tight to the building, tried to keep it, his disturbed area as minimal as possible. He actually met this exemption, and we gave it to him. Now, this next one that we just ran into recently, the person on Foley Road decided that they wanted to disturb a pretty significant area, like 2 acres. And then they placed the house kind of up on an anthill. And then they had been underneath the half acre, but they were greater than the acre of disturbance. But since they were less than 10% connected impervious, this exemption, the way it's written, allowed them to get out of stormwater management, which is not the intent of how that was actually initially written. I spoke with the DNR on this particular exemption, and the exemption, according to the DNR, was only supposed to allow for an exemption from stormwater quality, where we as a village regulate quantity and quality. The way it's written currently, it exempts you from both, which, again, it can be an issue. Now, in this particular issue on Foley Road, is it really going to create a big deal? Probably not. But we would like to get this corrected so that we don't run into this issue anymore. So I would like to have 9210 D1B2 stricken from the ordinance. And if the committee of the whole agrees to those changes, we would recommend that staff modify and prepare the ordinance and forward it to the board for their consideration.
Mr. Wishaw, did you have a comment?
No, other than I was going to make a motion to strike section 9-2-10 D1B2 and move it to staff for, what did you say, Tony? For
Right, ordinance.
Have staff modify and prepare 9210 DB1 as stated above.
yeah, that's what I said.
1B, this says
And I'll second
1B.
it.
Pardon me?
You sounded very intelligent there. Thank you.
I'll
He did what
second it.
he did what I usually do.
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? The motion was the strike, is that correct?
Yeah, it's a clarifying you're really just asking for clarification and being
I want to
realistic.
amend the one
Right.
section and
Yep.
strike the other.
Yep.
Yep.
Got it.
We trust Tony.
I guess we do. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I guess I didn't hear one no in there, so we're good to go. Thank you, Tony. Sewer backup, 9803 Caddy Lane.
That's me as well. Oh,
You're not on.
It might be me.
You muted?
What number mic you got?
Hello.
Yep, there
There
you
you
go.
go.
This particular section, the post-construction stormwater ordinance, is enabled by statute. And there was a big hullabaloo, legal term of art there, about whether or not you had to have a public hearing when you modify these types of ordinances. The upshot is you do. It's treated like if you go to the statute, it talks about the fact that it's considered a zoning type of ordinance, even though it's not in your zoning code. So just a heads up that we need to do a public hearing on it.
Yeah, that's not a problem, Tim. We'll make sure that we take care of that procedurally.
Thanks.
Okay,
You stunned us into silence.
thank you for your input.
The hullabaloo.
All right, sewer backup on 9803 Caddy Lane. Is that you also, Tony?
Yes, it is, and this is not a hullabaloo. Essentially, on January 16th, we were called out for a water main break at 9803 Caddy Lane. It was later at night. We decided for the night we'll throttle it down. The next morning, we went out, excavated it out, and essentially during the excavation, exposed the main, exposed the issue. Essentially, it was a shear of the main right at the corporation stop, which is where the service connects to the main for that house. And essentially, back in the day when they built those homes, they ended up running the sanitary lateral basically right over the top of, or right underneath the water lateral. When they had to do some excavation, they accidentally damaged the sewer lateral. And while we had it open, we had repaired that portion of the lateral which was damaged. About just under 2 months later, got another call from the same owner saying, "Hey, we got a sewer backup." They had hired Roto-Rooter out to clear the lateral. We went out on the 11th, we went out on the 10th and televised the lateral. The picture that we found in the with the cameras is attached in the packet. Essentially, we had GNF out on the 11th, repaired the lateral again. We didn't pay for that one, by the way. But we feel that the sewer backup is more than likely caused as a direct result of the repair of the sewer with the water main break. So we would recommend that the utility district pay Roto-Rooter the Roto-Rooter invoice of $1,068.10 with the condition that the owner sign a release of all claims form and then forward to the board for a final approval.
Thank you,
I
Tony.
can do that for you if you like.
Go ahead.
I'll move to recommend the Caledonia Utility District pay the Roto-Rooter invoice in the amount of $1,068.10 with the condition of the owner signing a release of all claims from and forward this item to the village board for final approval.
I'll
Second.
second it. And just a comment, we did vote to approve this last week at our utility
Okay,
committee.
very good. Thank you. You're holding out, Lee.
Yeah.
You did approve something.
He wasn't going to report that to us.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. Thank you very much, everybody. Review of ordinance 9157B, mandatory connection to water main, section 946B, connections to sewer mains.
This one's me also.
I thought so.
Essentially, I would like to have these two ordinances reviewed, 9157B, 946B. Essentially, these are the compulsory connection ordinances for sewer and water. Based on section 1B of both of those ordinances, it requires the connection of sewer and water to residential and agricultural uses for new construction when the buildings proposed are within 500 feet of the utility mains or the right-of-way in which the utility mains are located, so essentially readily available. It does not require a connection when the buildings are set back more than 500 feet. Sections also state when there's a conditional use that's granted in section 2 in B2. It states that any buildings shall be connected to the utility mains if the property itself is within 500 feet of the utility main or the right-of-way in which the utility main resides. So that's kind of issue number one. Now, tonight at the board meeting, you approved a conditional use for it's an accessory building with upper area living quarters. Essentially, by this ordinance and as a condition of approval, that building, albeit set back almost 1,800 feet from the road, needs to be connected to sewer and water. Even though the existing home that's on the site at 1,695 feet from the property line does not need to be connected to sewer. So in the near future, you'll have to see some type of, potentially we'll see a request from the property owners on how they want to handle it if this ordinance portion does not get changed or amended. The second part of it is, let's see here. As far as the conditional uses go, there are 44 permitted conditional uses across the 18 zoning districts, and I have them all kind of listed out for you. I think as an exercise or homework for the board, I think we would want to have each of you consider which ones of these conditional uses
Mhm.
should be connected to sewer and water, and which ones do we feel essentially do not need to be connected to sewer and water. Just as an example, I'm going to pick on an easy one. I'll take the low hanging fruit. So sod farms. There probably isn't a whole lot of need for
Sewer.
sewer and water for a sod farm. But if you look at let's just say
Number 10.
number
10, right.
32, a motel and a hotel.
Right.
You're definitely going to want to make sure that those are connected to sewer and water. So as homework for the board, I'd like to have you guys look over those 44 conditional uses, figure out which ones should be connected, which ones shouldn't be, and then we can have another discussion to kind of see which direction we would want to go. I would also think that the board should consider if they want properties to develop when sewer and water is readily available. In this case on 31, and I have no stake in that, what's done is done, what's in is in, but if sewer and water is readily available, I have a hard time trying to justify not having these individuals connect. Now, I get it, they're putting their house back almost 1,700 feet. It probably is a pretty substantial cost to do that. But at the same time, if they're putting their house 1,700 feet back, they already have substantial costs just for the length of a driveway and the size of the lot itself. But I believe that being from the Sewer and Water Commission and seeing what our utility rates are, we need as many users as possible, and to eliminate people from being users because of their setback of their home, I think is kind of on the wrong side here. So I think the board needs to consider whether they want to keep the 500 feet, eliminate the 500 feet, or make it less. I'm not sure. But this is just kind of an introductory thing. Please read over my memo, and then we can have another discussion to kind of decide what we want to do going forward and how the village wants to see its land develop with or without sewer and water. So the recommendation for tonight, board members should review how they would like to see the village develop with or without sewer and water. In addition, village board members should review which conditional uses that they feel can be granted and determine which ones, if any, should be allowed to develop / proceed with or without sewer and water. Any questions?
I have a question. On the situation involved that brought this up, how is that new building that's being proposed close to the 500 feet? Is it a side angle thing that causes it to come within this?
No, it's not.
No,
within 500.
when there's a conditional use involved,
Mhm.
there's no distance requirement.
So it's the conditional use that's
So it's the
throwing it-
conditional use
that's
automatically
throwing it into
requires
this.
it.
Okay, got it.
So
Thank you.
that's the issue there.
Got it.
Tony, where did the 500 feet come from? Was it an engineering estimate or was it a pull from rear kind of number? What was? Do you
I
know where it
really
came
have
from?
to do a lot more history digging than that. I really
It
don't.
just seems an arbitrary number to me.
I think
I
it's-
believe it is an arbitrary number. I do also believe at one point in time it was 300 feet. And I believe
it
that
800 feet?
300 feet kind of goes with how some of the areas of the district boundary were initially set up. Like areas along 4 Mile Road and some areas along Short Road. There's actually, and I believe a little bit along Adams Road, there are some parcels that are essentially up front. They are 300 feet, which is included in the district. And then the back portion of it is actually outside of the district. That's an assumption on my part. I can do more research on that, but I do believe it is an arbitrary number.
All right, thank you. Okay, then, moving on.
Wait, can we go back to
Yes.
that for a minute?
Yes,
Because
go ahead.
because part, I assume, of the distance has to do with the expense people building there would incur. So can we get some kind of an estimate of what running a sewer from a road to 500 feet would cost, or to 300 feet?
Sure, I can put an estimate
Because
together
it seems to me
on the
that's
lateral.
relevant.
I unfortunately, I have to somewhat disagree. I believe cost shouldn't be an issue here. If you're
Well-
building a house more than 500 feet from the road, I hate to say it, you've got a pretty big parcel. You're probably building a big house. You're probably putting in a very long driveway. You're already spending a significant amount of money developing that parcel.
All right, we can have a long debate about that.
Sure.
Because this isn't the time, but I don't agree with you.
Okay.
Tony, would you like a motion from us or you want to give us a date,
Next board meeting?
next board meeting or two board meetings?
Whatever the board feels comfortable with.
Do you want me to read this recommendation?
That would be
Yeah.
great.
For the
Okay.
whole motion,
It's a lot.
Well, my suggestion is that we do 2 board meetings because I think this will generate public input in areas that are affected.
So
motion to bring
make
it
a
back.
motion so that would be the first meeting in May, right? You said you wait 2 more
Right.
meetings?
Yeah.
Okay. Move to the first board meeting in May, the village board's recommendation about how they would like to see this conditional use be used, and
Committee of the whole.
I think you're actually going to be dealing with it at this body
Yeah,
first.
committee of the
okay.
whole.
committee
We
of the
wouldn't
whole.
take it to the board until we actually have a final decision and an
Discussion
ordinance
here.
drafted.
Right.
I gotta start over. So I'll make the recommendation to move to the first village board meeting and
No.
committee of
Committee
the
as a
whole
whole.
meeting, committee of the whole meeting, I got it.
Right.
All day. May 13th. On how we would like to see this ordinance written and utilized within the village, or, conditional use. That sound good? Got that?
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Tony.
I made that up.
Are you done now?
I didn't just know.
Discussion dedication plaque public safety building. Fran, do you wanted to bring this up?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I
we
do.
do
I
one.
think we should
We
have a
never did
plaque,
one.
and I'm not sure why we don't. So my suggestion is that we have a plaque on the public safety building, the same as, or similar to the one that's on this building.
I think, I have a theory why we don't. It's like we changed administrators in the middle of all that. And then I don't think we gave Todd the assignment.
So
Chief.
there is a plaque. It was lost in the shuffle. It came back, it was lost again, and now it's back again.
Oh.
So they just sent us a rendering of it within the last week or so.
Oh.
And so there will be one on the interior of the building. We had to kind of go back and forth as to where it was going to be located because the main lobby vestibule is all glass. And so you only have the one wall and there are already a number of things on it. So we had to work through some issues, but there is a plaque. It will be probably installed within the next week or so.
Is it paid for?
It was included in the project.
Oh,
So the
Oh,
cost
even
was
better.
our,
all
was
better.
part of the project. It was always a part of the project. It just kind of fell off. One of the reasons was there was some discussion as to where it was going to be placed, what it was going to look like, what was going to be the verbiage that was on the plaque. And so all of that was sorted through months and months ago. It just kind of has been swirling around in the background, but it is now complete.
Oh, great.
Chief, can you email us a copy of the rendering?
Yeah, it's not a very good copy, but I'll email it to you right now.
Okay.
I can pull it up right
As long as it doesn't end up in the bathrooms.
Well, Fran, thanks for bringing it up again.
Yeah.
Okay, review of teleconference policy. And I guess I brought this up because I think we abused it on the planning commission a couple meetings ago, but.
Oh.
So we had a policy for a while that said you had to be here, and then during COVID, we had to phone in or call, I've used, the meeting thing on the internet. And I thought we rescinded that. Apparently we did not. So I wanted your opinions on, addressing meetings like this when you're, absentee. And so if you want to give your ideas, let's hear them tonight.
I have one.
Yes, Lee?
We discussed this
I thought
a few
so.
board meetings or a few boards ago,
Yeah.
when Kevin was with us still.
Yeah.
And, I understand if, if you're got a legitimate reason for not being here, I'm good with that. But Kevin brought up a good point, and I happen to agree with it. He said, well, if we allow teleconferencing, you can make up any reason to not be here, and if it's a controversial vote, it's a whole lot easier to sit in your home and vote on something without having to face the audience. And I agree with that. If it's important, you should be here. If you can't be here, I get it. But we don't want to make this, in my opinion, we don't want to make the teleconferencing option available for somebody who just doesn't want to be here to face the music. And I'm not saying any of us have done that, but it could happen. That's all I'll say.
Well, I will say that I was a beneficiary of it during COVID because, as you know, because I said so, I'm immunocompromised. And so I very much appreciated the board allowing me to participate, in the worst part of the pandemic by Zoom. And
But in a
fact,
post-COVID world, do you think it should stay that way?
well, there may be a similar reason. For example, Holly could have taken part when she had her surgery.
And
And
I had the same thing
and
2
Nancy
weeks
had the
ago.
same thing. And Dale, you could have. You wouldn't have had to show up. So it seems to me that there are circumstances in which it's entirely legitimate, if it's difficult for someone physically to be here, to allow them
So,
to
Fran,
appear.
I totally, I agree with that, but how do you determine,
You believe the
it-
trustees, that's all.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, you do it in good faith.
So
So wait a minute, let's back up a little bit. So
Yeah.
I understand what you're talking about, Fran, and I sort of agree with you, but how about closed sessions? How about,
can
Yeah.
I speak
Yeah.
to that?
I'm a little bit
And-
more ambivalent about closed sessions, depending on whether there are documents that are exhibited. So if it's a closed session and it's purely verbal, I'd be okay with that. But if there's some document that we're looking at,
well,
then I don't
okay,
see.
so the other night at the planning commission, we had one member phone in the other member that wasn't here without going through the teleconferencing or anything like that.
Well,
I
So there
think
was
that
no,
was-
Wait a
no way
minute.
of knowing who it really was.
That was
Well,
an accident, I think, because
that
at
was
least my
a-
No, that was on
understanding.
purpose.
no, it
Not that he
wasn't.
called in. I think that he thought he had arranged and had talked to somebody here and
Okay,
arranged to call in officially. And then, at least that's my
It got
understanding of what
met,
happened.
So-
it wasn't, it
I'm
was,
sorry, it was on purpose, but let's talk about the realities. Are we talking
And-
about video conferencing or are we talking about telephoning?
well, I think you have to, first of all, let's stop and back up a little bit. We have digital capacities today. We didn't have 5 years, 10 years ago. We've got Zoom. We have the ability for visual or phone. You can make them intermediary. Yeah, there was a snafu on the planning commission that yes, that call should have been initiated from inside, really, a staff phone or something to call out. Didn't happen, it got handled. In my case, I made the arrangements ahead of time, I verified all the ordinances and stuff, and we did do it by teleconference, which is fine. However, I've also had discussions with Todd since then on that, because I see no reason to not allow them. And the parameters that you're talking about are discussions we had. And Todd actually brought up, how do you control people sitting on the couch? Well, I agree. I'd like to think if you got elected, you didn't want to sit on the couch. But we actually talked about, like, all right, is it vacation? Is it medical? I mean, some people might be up north doing something in the summertime. Do we want to allow that? I don't really have an issue against it, but I think you have to give the reason, whether it's medical or
You're out of town.
or you're out of town, you're more than 50 miles away kind of thing, and that should go through the village administrator. As to closed session, because that actually came up in the board meeting where I was in, you could not be verified whether or not I had somebody in the area or not. I get that. I think for closed session items, we would have to agree that gets muted. That's the one thing you have to take away from the person who can't be here physically, is that's the only way you can ensure that it's also
Yeah.
truly a closed session.
Holly?
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I think regular board meetings, we know when those are scheduled. Those are the same every month. If you're on vacation or you're sick, you're on vacation or you're sick. I think you know when your village board meetings. I think it's the special meetings that I've had to partake in because of my regular job, or you know, like that's when the really these closed sessions or like the special meetings that we hold. Those are the when the information is really needed that we need to know. There's no packet usually. There's no, you know, I think that the Zoom is important or the teleconference is important, but I think that I actually think it's for the closed sessions and the special. If we take an oath of office to do our jobs as elected officials, we should be trusted that we're upholding the laws of
Well, then
closed sessions.
I guess we would have to ask Tim maybe to weigh in from a legal perspective, especially as reflects to closed session. What are the requirements that we need to meet to confirm closed session? Does somebody being in on
Just verbally
phone or
saying-
whatever, what is the difference?
Yeah, I think you adequately addressed it in this, this document that you have here. It's only supposed to be used when in-person is impossible. And you have to ensure that all the participants are in an area where they're the only ones there. And I mean, there's parameters here.
Yeah.
I mean, it can be done, and it's not to be done easily or lightly. The run-of-the-mill open meetings, I see more and more that it's being conducted by Zoom or Microsoft Teams. Is becoming more accepted. And as long as the people participating can be seen and you can hear them, and the public can see and hear them, you know, I think it hasn't been as much of a problem. And I think you're right that the technology keeps getting better and better for that. But you do bring up some interesting points. But I think this policy here was well done in its time, and it was done under pressure when we were all dealing with
Yeah.
COVID.
So, please go ahead.
So what we discovered when you were
Looking.
from home last time is we actually do not have the required technology. That was not really well executed on our behalf. You were not visible to the audience or anyone except for Norgie. We had to literally
Oh, I
hold up
see.
a
I know,
microphone
yeah.
to the computer because we just don't have currently
Huh.
the capacity
Yeah, so we need to know if we can
make-
do like a
meet all of
Zoom.
those requirements.
Yeah, and actually, Todd and I were talking about that today, and in my head talking about the technology. Because when you have the screen up there, if you have a Zoom, if you have the way to put the Zoom up in the corner, but not take away from the, so yeah, I mean, there's some
I'm not saying
hurdles.
we couldn't do it, just that we don't currently.
We just need to figure that out. So yes, I agree where you can be seen. And I will say that with it being over by Norgie, there were things I couldn't hear clearly, and it was fine. Norgie wore a lovely sweater that night. Let me just be clear. I saw lots of Norgie sweater, which was okay. I did hear Tom when he spoke up, but I will agree, yeah, we need to make sure if we have to do it or we choose to do it, yeah, we're just meeting all the best technology, but I can't see any reason to say, no, you don't have the ability to do it, because we request and explain what it is.
So let me just interrupt you, Nancy, for a second.
I'm done.
Oh, I'm sorry. But thank you. But do you, as the board, do we have a consensus that we think that we'd be in favor of video conferencing? Is it a straw poll?
I am not.
You're not? Okay,
I'm not.
so we have one opposed. I think it'd be better or more prudent for us to dump this on Todd and see if he can review the current policy and maybe
don't really
make
have-
recommendations back to us.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. And I was bringing up a couple of comments to Tim while you guys were discussing various factors and stuff. So I'd be happy to work on looking at the policy with Tim and Elaine and then bring something back to you guys.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that good for everybody?
So
Mr.
I have a question then. So theoretically, we have a controversial meeting coming up. And we all come up with excuses as to why we can't be here, other than Tom. Tom, you're the only one that shows
No,
up.
I'm gonna phone in too.
Okay, but if you.
And there's no one here.
I don't mind
If you're
I don't
the
mind
only one that shows up and
controversy.
there's 50 people out here that want to string you up, and we're all back at home,
I think you have to
avoiding
have,
that, I don't,
Well, you have, to-
that's just not right.
but I think
I-
he can put
Wait,
reasons in there.
Hold on.
He's got the floor.
I want to know how we're going to deal with that. And Tib, you said, well, with today's technology, as long as people can see it. Well, what happens if it's Howard and he doesn't have a, if he's a caveman like me and he doesn't have a laptop at home to view this? Or is he expected to come here and are we going to be able to show it up on the screen here?
Yeah,
'Cause
right.
We've got to deal with that issue. 'Cause I don't think people should be expected to have the technology at their home to sit there and watch us on, not all people have that.
You mean for the audience?
Yes.
Well, I think
Yes.
that's up to the audience people if they, I mean, if people, a lot of people do, yeah, I think the city is live streamed.
Well,
It's-
I,
Too, I
I
mean, there's a lot
definitely,
of
I
them.
definitely disagree with teleconferencing for any closed meeting under any circumstance for the closed
Closed,
meeting.
yeah.
We're not, we're-
I'm not talking about
But,
closed.
but even for the regular meetings, I just think that you open up the possibility of people just wanting to avoid a controversial meeting and sitting at home. And I know nobody agrees with me, so I'll stop right now.
I
Well,
just
would
don't
admit I've been to
see,
meetings where it's been
I can see
scary.
people doing it.
I-
All right, so we
I don't see
collectively,
any
though,
of
we
us.
agreed to
That's
dump
my
this on
job.
Todd for right now.
yeah, and I don't
Thanks, Ted.
see any of us avoiding meetings because of controversy. I
mean,
kind of liked it.
I like it, you're nervous when
Yes.
the police are
You
all
make a
sitting
motion
here,
to-
like some of the meetings we've had for planning commission. It's been a little dicey.
I'll make a motion to send this to Todd.
Todd.
And
Staff.
I said Todd and staff,
To review.
and they're saying Todd for review.
I second it.
All right, all in favor for that motion?
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Thank you, Holly, for doing that.
Wow, that was good.
Oh, this is. a
This is
good
gonna
one.
be good too. Discussion review of penalties for failing to complete construction
Yeah.
projects.
Yeah,
Yep. That's a
Pete?
Pete.
Pete's leaving us.
Pete left.
He's gotta go get his daughter, so. Go ahead, Pete, it's all right. Yeah, that's fine.
We're gonna throw
We'll dump it
some
on
at
your
you,
boss.
Todd.
Todd, Todd, did you wanna,
Yeah, so I believe when this was being discussed at the last meeting, Elaine had actually looked up in the state statutes, and the village does or would have the power to handle whether it's penalties or restoration of a project that may or may not get completed for whatever reason. But there would be a process. So like our permits are good for 2 years, you're able to apply for a 1-year extension. I'm guessing that there's a number of other factors related to the statute on how a village would enforce or compel a property to be restored if the project was not completed. I guess one of the varying factors would also be how far along or what phase that project is. But the way Elaine was explaining it to me as the conversation was happening at the last meeting is that the village would then, essentially do the work or
Yeah.
contract for the work to be done, pay the overall cost, and then that would end up being somewhat of a special assessment then placed on that property.
oh, okay.
I mean, this could be something that you could use your public nuisance ordinance for. Under that section, there's a notice to abate a public nuisance that gets served on the owner. And they have so many days to comply. And if they don't, you can either proceed into court to get a court order to require them to abate the nuisance, which might be take out the foundation that you've left on the corner of, for ages. It could be, putting it back to an erosion-free, dust-free condition. You could use your raise statute if you've got a building that is not habitable for whatever reason. Public nuisance also has the benefit of you can use your municipal court as some leverage to issue a citation where the order has gone out to abate the nuisance and they ignore it. And now you see if you can use the citation process to get some leverage. So I think there are mechanics, and you've got your own municipal court, so I think that would be a real cost-effective way to handle it.
Yeah, except that we have an experience. It took how many years? 5 years, 6 years?
Well, more
to
than
get the
two.
one on
Yeah,
31
two.
dealt with?
It took
Because
quite a
once
while.
it gets into the court process, then it bounces back and forth and then it gets extended. I mean, one way of doing it, which maybe isn't practical, I'm not sure, would be to require some kind of a bond at the outset with a permit. But I get that makes a refundable bond, presuming that it's completed within X period of time. Otherwise, typically it's not completed because whoever is doing it runs out of money. So they're probably judgment proof. So it's going to end up as a lien on the property anyway. So I'm thinking either that or allow the village to simply do the remedial work and make it a lien on the property. I just hate getting it, just because of the experience we've had, getting into something where you're giving them a citation and then you're waiting and then they do it and then they go to court and say, oh, but I'm trying, judge. They get an extension. I mean, that's our experience.
Well, those are good points. And we always counsel our clients to be careful when you get into the position of performing work on somebody else's property.
Yeah.
It kind of extends some liability to you if it's not done properly. And you have legal issues of access that you have to get a court order to enable you to do that work. And then you do the work and it becomes a lien on the property. And then it's a matter of how long is that going to hang out there before you get reimbursed for those
Right.
costs. So yeah, it's kind of a messy situation.
What about a bond up front?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's kind of similar to a construction bond or a
Yeah.
ditch bond. And that's when you don't do the work, we can use that bond to complete it. I suppose you could come up with a completion bond. If you abandon your project, we'd have some money to try and make the site safer or take some steps. I don't know.
Those are very expensive.
Yeah, it would be a very expensive proposition. I don't know how practical that would be. And that would get put on the property owner, it probably, when buildings are being built. So these are all great comments. It's just it's not a simple subject.
Yeah, because I think this one in particular, we're talking about Erie and Charles, and that's also almost getting to be an attractive nuisance situation sitting there, and that's the scary part,
And I believe they just recently contacted Pete about,
doing something. But
Yes.
yeah, but I mean, it's just sitting there kind of thing that it's,
I saw work being done there, actually. I drove by.
Just
yesterday.
just so the board is aware, we sent out a letter after, I think it was either the day of or shortly thereafter the last board meeting, to have that owner take care of the silt fence, take care of the snow fence, and pick up some debris that had blown into some of the abutting properties' yards. Coincidentally enough, we got a call from one of the neighbors. I think it was either the day before or the same day as the board meeting last time. I had put in specific dates in regards to when the owner needed to contact me and when he needed to have it completed by. He needed to contact me by the 31st, which he did. He contacted me on the 31st. And then he had until yesterday to complete putting that stuff back in order. He did have people out there. They made a somewhat of an attempt to put things up. Is it perfect? Not really, but it is much better and much more secure than it was previous to them doing it. Now, at the same time, the owner did inform me that he was going to be hearing about his lawsuit that is going on with the builder. His court date was essentially the day he spoke with me, or at least he says it was. But I have not heard from him what the result of that, what that is. So.
Okay.
Okay?
And I guess we have to recognize also that stuff happens, like that you're built. I mean, so we don't want to be too punitive either. It's just that we've had this sitting there looking crappy for a long time. Like TID 5, same thing. Just piles of gravel and built fences.
Okay, Fran, did you want to have this come back sometime, or are you satisfied with, and you're the one who put this on here, so.
I guess what I'd like to do is to wait until after we have the item that was the topic of the closed session come before us,
Okay,
and then deal with it.
all right.
'Cause that's one of the,
So we'll put this on a future bring back is what you're saying.
You want to set a specific?
You want to set a date?
yeah. Well, I don't know when did we table that to?
so you would like this to come back following the teleconference one?
No, I'd like this to come back following the discussion
April
of TID
22nd.
5.
From the,
we
Which
don't
we
have
adjourned
TID 5 on
to-
here.
April 22nd.
April 22nd.
Oh.
So I'm saying following that, because that's one
Okay,
of the,
so May 13th.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Sounds good. I'll put it on there for May
Is that
13th.
a motion, Fran?
yes.
I'll second.
All in favor of Fran's motion to May
Aye.
13th?
Aye.
I,
Thank you, Fran. Okay, suggested items to be placed on next meeting's agenda. Anybody have anything they'd like to add? Mr. Wishaw?
Well, I guess it's a good time to bring it up. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. Back when this COVID nonsense hit us, we, as a board, gave the village president, Mr. Dobbs, at that time, the authority to call an emergency, as I recall. I don't remember the language. I couldn't find the document. I don't remember exactly how we did it. But I'd like to bring that back to the board, because you and I even talked about it. We thought that if we're going to call an emergency, it should be a board decision, not one person's decision. So I'd like to get that language at the next meeting so we can discuss it and figure out what we want to do going forward in case we have to do that again. But I don't think that should be the call of one person, myself, but that's something we need to discuss.
Okay.
That's related to the video conferencing?
No,
No.
no.
So to call.
Oh,
Just
it was
a
just, it's
special
just a,
meeting.
just call a
It was to
special
call an
meeting.
to call
see.
it for an
Emergency
emergency.
meeting.
I see.
Okay, thank you, Lee.
I just don't remember
I don't
exactly
remember-
what we
I
wrote.
don't remember
but-
where we left it either, to be honest with you.
I have a simple one, I
Yes.
hope.
Yes?
Well, the stallion got out again.
Yeah.
So we went through a lot of things on that, but the one thing we never finished clarifying was if it is felt that that stallion needs to be removed from sight, what is the actual process that we go through? I know it goes through the Humane Society, but we don't have in place an understanding of how that would happen, what has to happen. Because you can't just put a stallion in any barn. You can't just go across the street, because that's what he's doing. He's going over and he injured another horse
Right.
already.
And he's already, and it's dangerous. I mean,
Well-
it's potentially a fatal accident waiting to happen.
So
Partly crossing the road and also partly if someone is riding a mare and that
Will being
stallion is
challenged.
loose, I mean, that's potentially a
But
fatal
all I'm
accident.
asking for
So-
is that we get clarification working through the Humane Society is what would that process look like? So let's assume it's never going to happen, but we would have the document that the police would know who to call and we understand what's going to happen, what has to happen to safely remove him
All right, so,
or
all
a horse.
right. So you looked at on the next agenda.
Yep,
is what you're
just
saying.
an understanding and so we figure out, we know what we have to do if it happens.
All right.
Well, in addition to that, and perhaps we could discuss it in the same context, I was wondering, because of that particular situation and me getting emails that the stallion got out again, whether there isn't a way to, have an agreement the same way that we did with the dangerous dog, and that is require certain things, and then if they don't comply, then it's to be euthanized. I mean, that's what we have
I
with
know,
the
I
vicious
know.
Turned
dog.
into a gelding, one or the other.
I'm not,
Yeah, that is what we have with the vicious dog,
Yeah.
and it seems to me that is
All right,
the answer.
so
And
Okay.
that's the motivator also.
there's a lot of stuff, but we can put that all in the next meeting. Anything else?
Yeah.
Wait, what's a separate item?
Yeah, they're separate items, but we can talk about them all together, I think.
Why is
There
it
was no continuing business, then we have a closed session tonight.
What?
Committee of the whole will take up a motion to go into closed session pursuant to.
I make a
19
motion to go into closed session.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
I think you have to read that.
I think by law I have to read this whole thing, right? I have to read the whole thing, right, Tim? Even though we have a motion and a second, it's to considering employment, promotion, compensation, performance, evaluation data of public employees over which government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically our engineering technician. We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
President Weatherspoon.
Yes,
Trustee Lambert.
Yes.
Trustee Martin.
Yes.
Trustee McManus.
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Wishaw. Trustee Pierce.
I wasn't
Yes.
sure which one you-
Trustee Stillman.
we are
Holly,
in
your voice
closed.
got very deep.
You're taking the bull by the horn here?
We gotta shut these off. We gotta shut these off.
Oh, I'll just turn the whole system.
I will move that the committee, that we
Make the
move to the board, the employment.
No, it doesn't have to go to the board, right?
Oh, okay, then I.
Right, is that right?
Well, it will be a resolution.
Okay,
It's an offer.
okay, all right. Then I move that we authorize the building department to make the employment offers, including the wages we discussed in the closed session.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Thank you, Fran, for your help. We are adjourned.